You are listening to the MSPoweruser Podcast. This is the podcast for the Microsoft enthusiast and power user. We discuss the latest news from MSPoweruser.com about Microsoft, Windows, and more. My name is Vernon E. Smith, and I'm joined as usual by Andy Bennett. What's up, buddy?
Not too much, I admit. I am... thanks to schedules getting moved around, we're recording pretty late tonight, so please, listeners, forgive me for not being up on my game.
Andy's got his late night voice on.
Yep, the voice where I don't want people to get mad at me for waking them up.
Well, no problem. We still got some good stuff we're going to talk about. It's going to be a great show, and I am actually pretty excited to talk about next week, or what we're going to learn just before next week's show. Next week's show. We'll do that. Talk about that at the end of today.
Yeah.
So let's start it off. Insiders, if you're listening to the show, you are probably an insider, and if you're not, that's okay as well. I will admit that I backed out of the insider program, or not the program itself, but I'm not running any insider builds right now. But I think I will. I don't know. Maybe I'll jump back into it. So we got a new build, and I did not dig into this too much, but I did discover that, at least for mobile, or I learned that for mobile there was a challenge. There was a problem with upgrading. You know, the update did not really work, and some people's phones were... Well, it's pretty tough to brick a phone now. You can just put it back into the Windows device recovery tool. But the update was sticking, for mobile at least. What about desktop? What did we... What's going on with the desktop version?
I haven't heard about that, although I'm pretty sure that it's pretty messed up on both.
Okay.
I haven't been paying too much attention to it, admittedly. I know a friend of mine has been looking into it, and I'm just assuming that it's broken on both here. Boy, let me look here. I'm looking and seeing in what's broken to see if it's marked in the stuff. It doesn't seem to be.
So I have not dug too deeply yet into what is new for this build. Andy, you want to start us off? What's going on with the desktop version?
All right. So last week, it was last week, we were talking about refining the bit where they added touchpad customization.
Very cool stuff.
Yeah, and now they're refining that, and right now they've hooked it up with the keyboard shortcut picker apparently. So now you can choose that option on the advanced gestures page, which will allow you to be presented with a recorder, so you can capture your favorite key combo. So you can combine Win plus Alt plus D or Win plus F, so that you can change that swipe to act as a macro for that. And it's a real nice idea, in my opinion. Like, last week, I was just nothing but praise about this as far as I can remember. And that pretty much continues today. Because this is just something that, if I used a touchpad, I would be using this constantly. Because just being able to just swipe in one direction to open up, say, Run or anything like that, that would be great.
I agree. I really like the concept of gestures. I love the, like I think I mentioned, I don't know, last episode or the one before, that how BlackBerry had done it for a while was really pretty cool, and Palm and WebOS and stuff. Thought that was really interesting. And of course, Windows Phone 7 was all, panning and pivots and hubs and stuff like that, which was very cool. I like that concept, but it is not necessarily that, not really the best for a novice user, because it's not always intuitive, and it takes a bit to learn all that stuff. So if they had a good way to,
in a way, it gets around learning it if you're the one setting it, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's true, but then it is a layer of customization that many traditional users, or I would just call them common users, don't usually dig that deeply into it. But I think
this is why we're MSPoweruser.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there, Andy. You're right. We should. You're right. people listening to this show probably would be much more likely to dig into this. Yeah. And fair point, buddy. Yeah, that's good.
And if you're a power user, I mean, I would, like I said, if I used a touchpad, I would see myself using this constantly. Because there's so much potential. You want to open the power user menu, the Windows key plus X with just a swipe. There you go. You got run with another. It's neat, simply put. And the other one moves to a side that I'm not sure how many people use, Windows Ink, which is a bunch of cool ideas, but I will admit I'm not sure how many people use it. Like, I believe you mentioned using it before, Vernon, but again, not too sure about that.
All right, I actually used this last night in a very meaningful way, actually. Wife had had not watched the debate, but she fired it up on her phone once she came home. I was busy with some stuff, and I wanted to go lay in bed, but I wasn't ready to go to sleep. So I grabbed my Surface, which I don't really use in bed much. I have it sitting up often. But I grabbed the pen and the Surface, and I wanted to do something with a tweet that I had seen. And I had actually tweeted out something, kind of an interesting line. And follow me on Twitter if you want to dig into it. I'm not going to promote my other show talking about this, but I tweeted something in an interesting phrase, and a day later I saw someone the title of a blog post was something very, very similar, and I just couldn't resist. But I wanted to screenshot them or capture those and ink them up and then compare them and say interesting or whatever. And so I did that, and Windows Ink is pretty awesome, especially if you have a pen, but you don't need it. And so, the features in there are very nice for screenshotting something and then marking it up and, cropping, saving as an image. You can save it right to OneDrive or your File Explorer. That's simple. And you share right from there. There's I really should do a video on it. Well, there's plenty of videos on it, but so I do use this, and to me, it was that next level. Not that it was that creative or anything like that, but it was not just doodling. It wasn't saying, testing.
Yeah, I get you.
This thing still neat. Works. So I used it in a real life scenario, which was still, an elective. It wasn't required.
When you mentioned the debate, I was expecting you to say I started drawing shouting stick figures, but this works too.
Yeah. The point was that I was on a mobile device that was large, my Surface, in bed, just, still spending quality time with my wife while she watched the replay and I played on my, other computer. But still, that is a world that many people live in now. Even if it's reading a book, spouses, that is their time together. If it's not actively, engaging with each other, it is still passive, hanging out. I don't know. I guess I'm commenting on the social structures in 2016 here, but in long, I should say, not in short, I use Windows Ink and I like it.
Well, starting with this build, it says you'll be able to open the pen drop downs in Windows Ink pen drop-downs in Windows Ink Workspace will let you change both color and width without having to open it twice, so that's cool.
That's actually something I noticed that is kind of lame, but it's fine.
Yeah, and so now you'll be able to make, it says all the adjustments to your favorite pen, start drawing right away, and dismiss the drop-down.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. I want to take. I really want to take this next one just because I'm feeling nostalgic. Stencils. Okay, now when I think of stencils, I think of being about 7 years old or younger, and which was, a bit further ago than you at that age, Andy. And I loved stencils, man. They were so cool, and of course they were physical little contraptions with gears and stuff like that. But I spent so much time with that. I just love that type of thing, and I think it's very cool that Microsoft is bringing these back. Even if as in a little gimmicky toy type of way, but I know many people that use these type of things, or at least traditionally, for drafting and things like that. So in a productivity, in a productive way, and especially for my children, I think my son would really like this type of thing for just drawing, but all obviously for creatives to use this type of thing as well. And I'm definitely gonna have to check this out, and I'm sure I'll be playing around with it quite a bit. I think this is pretty cool.
Admittedly, 7-year-old me was kind of lame and thought that coloring outside the lines was cooler than stencils, but I can see this actually being used in productivity settings. Like, say, the first thing that comes to mind is you're trying to quickly sketch up a top-down view for an office space or something. So you're like, okay, so this represents a water cooler here, this represents chairs here and here. So you're able to just quickly get those shapes scribbled out, and it still looks nice.
And my wife and I actually do that more than we thought we would. We do that for, existing home, rooms in our home, and also potential new homes or new rooms and things like that. I can see how we used to do it on napkins. We just did it 2 nights ago, actually, on a napkin at whatever. All right, I'm going to shut up, Andy. Tell us about some real.
All right.
Enough about me and my life.
Listen, you're an hour behind me. You're less tired than I am. I think that you're able to talk and get a point out with fewer stops at the moment than I am. But you actually talked about this next point in the changelog before the show began, about a new camera interface.
Okay, all right, I'll cover this then too. This is both PC and mobile, but typically you would see this more in mobile. The camera app has received a big update. Okay, it's been redesigned. The interface is supposed to be easier and more accessible. And first thing I see is that it looks more like the iOS camera. And not that that's bad, I guess, but I mean, Windows Phone was one of the first ones that you could obviously fire up the camera right from the phone, because you had the camera button. And then, of course, soon after, iOS put that little quick launcher on there. Same thing with the Samsungs, and everyone just copied Windows Phone, but they got all the credit. That's lame.
That's essentially the history of everything mobile, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, pretty much. So, and of course, Windows Phone enthusiasts would never mind telling everyone that Windows Phone had it first. So, sorry about that.
And then people just go, Windows Phone?
Yeah.
What was that?
Yep. So, again, enough with this nostalgia. Set a photo timer right from the camera dashboard. Instead of digging into the settings. That's nice. Settings is also right on the UI. You can access your camera roll with one hand from the new spot on the screen. That's the iOS thing. Well, whatever. It's a Windows thing now. It's fine. The zoom is there's an actual slider on there, and that's probably a good thing. Zooming with the pinch to zoom wasn't that great. And then let's see, what was the last thing here? One of the big ones, and I forgot what it was. I think it was the living images. No, where did it go? Dang it! Maybe I got to look in a different. Obviously, I haven't used this because I'm not on this build. Dang it! There's one great big one, and I'll think of it, and I'll bring it up again later, I guess. I'm not going to...
we should get to... Yeah, I think we should add Mark for editing or something.
Yeah, that's fine, or you can... Sorry, but... well, if we're going to edit, let me find it, I'll just finish it. What is it?
I will admit to getting kind of lost for a second, because I open up Twitter just to check something, and I start laughing at tweets about Donkey Kong, of all things.
Nice. So what? I just put it in here, didn't I? Oh, Timelapse. Okay, all right. Okay. And the last one, the one that is getting all of the publicity, is the Timelapse feature. And I've actually heard some mixed results as far as how well it's working, and I have not had a chance to fiddle around with it myself since I backed off of the fast string a couple days ago.
Yeah, so as far as I can tell, really, seems like some of these changes are nice in the camera app. It says like you can get to settings faster, you can zoom in easier, and it's got a more noticeable capture animation. That sounds like a good idea, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, we'll go with it. Anything else in here that really sticks out to you? I'm not...
You no longer have to reboot your PC after turning on developer mode.
Okay. I guess I don't turn it on that often.
New updates for Ubuntu, and you know what? We're at a point where I think we just need to get onto something that's a bit more interesting.
Yeah. All right. So what's fixed? Nothing of substance, unless you'd like to read through it yourself, folks. That's fine. What's broken? I guess I don't. Oh, there's some signing in issues on mobile, and that actually has been an issue for a little bit. Excel mobile will freeze when adding sheets and eventually crashes. It's been a while since I've used Excel mobile, but it is something that people value Windows Mobile for. So, all right.
Yeah. I think we should move on to talking about Microsoft's earnings, because talking about money is something that should keep me awake.
For sure. So it was a good earnings call this round. People were happy with it. I can't think of a recent one that was even better, but maybe that's just my opinion on this. That's just your opinion, man.
Microsoft's doing really good on this, and something that's not just your opinion, man, is that their stock is going crazy high. Last I checked, it was almost to $60.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it exceeded $60 actually.
Oh, yeah. Right now it actually says it's $57.25, which is still really high, I think. Yeah, it is still really high.
Yeah. After
hours is 60 though.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a big deal, obviously.
Yeah.
So.
It's huge. I think this is like some of the highest they've been since the 90s.
Since 99, as I remember seeing somewhere, must have been on our site, and Yeah,
maximum. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes, this is the highest they've been since then.
Nice.
Yep. It was 58.38 on December 31st, 1999. And then here we are, 60.63. The company's at an all-time high. That's wow. Really.
That's pretty awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So for this first I'm sorry. I'm reading.
Just to interject for a second, I think I want to go back in time and buy Microsoft stock back in 2009, where it was $17.10.
Oh wow! It only does you good once you sell it. I mean, there's revenue, but or dividends, I should say. But
actually, alternatively, go back and buy it even earlier than that. Just go buy up all of Microsoft's stock back when it was under $1.
Well, everybody says that about many things, but
true.
So we had a revenue of $20.5 billion plus $22.3 billion non-GAAP. I don't know what non-GAAP means. I'm sorry, folks. You listened to the wrong guy if you want in-depth analysis on this.
I can say this. I did a quick search.
Oh.
Generally accepted accounting principles is GAAP, and that's GAAP, but I'm assuming it's the same thing because it auto-corrected me to that when I looked it up. Anyways, non-GAAP refers to any financial measure that is inconsistent with the acceptable GAAP framework, and that's established by the Financial Accounting Standards Board, and basically I think it just means they follow certain rules when reporting GAAP, as far as I can tell. There's certain guidelines they have to follow that are dictated by people with far greater pay grades than you or I. And if they don't follow, and if they report it without those rules, it's slightly higher than usual, and it's called non-GAAP.
All right. Well, next one here is the company's Surface revenue. This is just for the Surface line, increased by 38% year over year. Now, they did have an additional model. They had both the Surface Book and the Surface Pro 4. But that's fantastic. That's awesome. Because many people that are buying... I don't know many people who own both a Surface Pro 4 and a Surface Book, or even a Surface Pro 3 and a Surface Book. You typically have one. And so people, that means they're getting to more people. It's awesome. and that's not earnings or income, I should say. That is just revenue.
Huh.
So phone business fell. I don't know if anyone's surprised at that. So either they really, really suck at phone and they're completely out of it and it's not coming back. And
It's that they haven't released anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the Lumia 950 was October or something last year, wasn't it?
Yes, it's been about a year old now. They did release the 650, I don't know, 6 months ago, 8 months ago. And it's really not, a broad market
device. The 650
device.
feels like it's in an area that it would never ever sell. It was a lower end Windows phone in an era where Microsoft is saying that Windows Phone is for the enterprise. And it's like, I don't know about you, but I don't think the enterprise would go for a business phone that does not have all the features of the business phone. Like, it doesn't have Continuum, which is the pretty big seller for Windows 10 Mobile and the enterprise, as far as I can tell.
That is true, but it isn't actually lacking in real business features compared to any other operating system. It's just that the 950, the flagship ones, have an additional feature for enterprise that no one else has anyway. So it really depends if an enterprise is trying to get in. Like, say, we could really dig into this, but I can see how some business would be fine with the 650 and don't need that Continuum. But I can also see how if you're gonna spend the money on it, why not get the absolute best device? Either way, they're not selling a lot. Understandably, that's fine.
Yeah.
Very few models and really no marketing for it. And I'm not surprised at all that it is declined.
Here's one that I do think is a bit of a surprise decline, or rather, maybe not, as I can think of reasons for it. But Xbox revenue is down 5%, and while
5%, like we're coming up on the season in which you buy games and game consoles.
This is true, but what's especially interesting here is that while Xbox revenue is down 5%, Xbox Live's monthly active users grew 21%. Now, seeing how the Xbox One S came out and a lot of price cuts got applied to the original Xbox One model, and heck, even without the Xbox One S around, it was still getting discounted pretty heavily. I would say that it's a case where people started buying the markdown models a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And because, the Xbox One has been leading over the PlayStation 4 for over 3 months now, and it's a case where it's just getting... Let me get my words together here, I'm sorry. There are more people playing on cheaper units.
Mm-hmm.
And so that fully explains it, as far as I can see.
See, I think when it comes to phone enthusiasts, it's pretty rare to buy a phone that's already been out for several months. But I think it's quite reasonable to think that of the people that game, plenty of them, the enthusiasts will want to get a console as soon as it comes out. But they understand that the life cycle, the span of these devices is much longer. So waiting for a few months or even a year or so is not unreasonable. And sometimes, prudency wins over in that case.
Yeah, the thing about the console market is that, say if someone had a PS4 for a few years and now suddenly they feel like playing Forza or Halo, they decide, okay, the Xbox One dropped in price, I can pick it up now. And I think that's a good chunk of it, because when it comes to the main big consoles, you have people who are enticed by the offerings on the other side, but don't feel like dropping $400, $300 full right after they already spent that on one system. So you'll see them either waiting a while or waiting for sales.
Yeah.
And to compare it to phones is kind of interesting, as in game consoles, you don't have to worry about the one that's a year or two old, or even 3 or 4 years, not being able to run the latest games. Like, heck, the Xbox 360 launched in 2005, late 2005, but still 2005, all of its hardware revisions, as far as I know, kept the same specs, of course. You're not going to see something that performs significantly better on the same system, but an Xbox 360 produced in 2005 would be capable of running every single Xbox 360 game ever released, including, say, Madden 2017, which came out in just this past month.
Well, that is a huge difference than mobile.
Yeah, it's a completely different market where things last longer, and you'll see interesting ways as developers keep trying to find more and more ways to push the hardware to its limits, and it's kind of fun to watch at times.
Mm-hmm. So cloud is one of Microsoft's strengths, and so the intelligent cloud business, which I'm not exactly sure what is encompassed within that it grew by a little bit, 8%, whatever. But what really stands out is that Azure grew by 116%. It more than doubled, which is incredible. Now, I would imagine that part of that might have been the partnership with Accenture and with Adobe. I mean, I don't know if Adobe is necessarily, they might not be seeing that yet. It really depends on where they draw the lines on that. But that's incredible. Just 100, to double Azure is, I don't know, it's crazy. Also,
to double any of the products that Microsoft had on offering is beyond insane because you have high user bases to begin with.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. Office itself grew by 5%, but Office 365 grew by 51%. So that's incredible too. And I can see why that's happening though. Office 365, for one, especially with Windows 8 and Windows 10, when you would buy a PC or if you would upgrade often, you would get a free year of Office 365. And so I think that those free years or second, depending on where it lines up, those free years are ending and people are continuing with it. That was exactly Microsoft's plan, and it's working. It's fine. It's hooked me or sucked me in. And I'm totally fine paying for home premium Office 365. And I can see how their revenue for that is bumping up. Nice job.
Yeah. It's always interesting to look at stuff like that and just see how it grows and grows and grows.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, search, Bing. They call it search and Bing. Basically, the back end is Bing, and Cortana is built into that. We can expect with Cortana built into the Windows 10 desktop, it's going to help that grow, and it did by 9%. So, yeah, that's something.
It's interesting as, originally it was a huge jump for Bing when they first, rolled out Windows 10 and Cortana, and it's still continuing. There's still more people jumping in on that train saying, okay, I'm going to use this. Okay, I'm going to use this. And it keeps going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm really interested to see where this goes to. I mean, I think I've said that a few times. I'm hitting the point where I'm unable to remember what I've said 5 minutes ago, admittedly. But it's something that just keeps on growing, and I'm interested to see, I want to see how it goes against Google, basically. I don't think Google can be dethroned, but no. I think that it can be an instance where you have two companies going at each other's throats and genuinely trying to compete, which is when good things happen.
For sure. It really is going to get
or terrible corporate espionage. Either one.
Well, I have no doubt there's some of that going on. And I can't necessarily expect Microsoft to truly beat Google at many or most of the search things. And that's not because Microsoft can't do it, but because Microsoft is doing so many things. Search is part of their plan, where Google search is a substantial part of their revenue based off of ads and everything, obviously.
I really think the case is more of Google. Google has become a verb, basically.
Well, yeah, definitely.
I mean, it is one of, if not the biggest household names in the entire planet. So taking it down or dethroning it or having higher search engine revenue than it That is something that would require a disaster on Google's end to accomplish, in my opinion. But I think Microsoft can still get a good chunk of their user base over to Bing over time.
I want to split something that you said there. You said, as far as dethroning, what did you say? You meant the Mindshare, basically, is how I think of it. Dethroning Google or competing, or Microsoft competing with them revenue-wise. Microsoft isn't in it for the revenue, but they want to make some money.
I didn't mean about the revenue. I meant it about the users.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that Microsoft is a household name to people, but they still think of it as racks of servers in a basement somewhere to some people. And Google obviously is like the internet. But Google is a small company when it comes to the money they actually make compared to Microsoft and other, like whatever. It'd be nice to see those dollars stacked up, or where the numbers end up. But of course, Google whoops.
It's interesting to think about the way regular people look at it too. As you mentioned, to some people, Google is the internet just as much as that E on the desktop is the internet too.
That's true. I understand that, but
so we got a couple of household names in the game. We have, say, just to throw a few around, we have Microsoft as a household name. We have Windows as a household name. We have, say, Internet Explorer as a household name. Not quite Edge yet. People think Big Blue E, so we'll see where that goes. But if we have Google as a household name, we've got both Gmail, Hotmail, and Outlook as household names. But I don't think we've hit the point where Bing is a household name.
No, not quite. I mean, you have Facebook, you have Amazon in there. Those are definitely household names when you think of the internet.
Yes.
YouTube is is a big presence, obviously. Anyway, all right. What do we have next here?
I guess my point entirely was just like, I'm curious to see if not only if, but how Microsoft is going to keep those search numbers growing and take up a chunk of Google's user base, because it's going to take some serious competition to get where I think they want to get.
I think that the search results are good enough. The discrepancy between the two engines is not so outstanding that it really throws people off from one to the other. I mean, people have their favorite search engine, definitely. And there are these power users that really know which one is better for them, and that's fine. But I think it's the experience that's going to draw people further into it. When I'm on my PC, I search all the time for things, and I usually pick one of the top 3 results. I don't search that deeply. I don't need to. And so it's almost, I don't need advanced search typically. But I like Bing because the background image, I like it because the little news items on the bottom. I like earning Bing rewards, or Microsoft, what is it? Microsoft rewards?
It's Microsoft rewards now.
Yeah.
But if you said Bing rewards, I'm pretty sure most people would still know what you meant.
Yeah. I use it because of all those things. And I just, plus I'm a Microsoft enthusiast. So, all right.
Yeah, personally, I like the design, I like the rewards, and I do like some of the features that are built into the search, like, say, the lyrics display, which was there long before Google had it. And then there's also image search and how it works.
Yeah,
and it's just the little things.
Image and video is really good.
Oh, definitely. Microsoft put a lot of love into that.
Yeah.
Okay, though, speaking of video, I think that lets us move on to our next thing.
Yeah, Windows Phone, Windows 10 Mobile, had an app updated, which was kind of a big deal. WhatsApp, which, of course, has been around for a while, it's been a very ubiquitous service for messaging, has added video calls into there. And now it's pretty much just it's just what you have. Most messaging services have a video aspect to it. Some are more like a phone or Skype call than others, but it's almost just expected. And before the show started, Andy and I were thinking that 5 years ago this was not a thing. This is something that has really grown, and it is, in 5 years is a long time anyway. But how video, messaging someone, seeing someone across the other side of the globe and talking to them face to face, even though Skype has, been around on the desktop for a long time, people think of it that way. But now it's just right there on your phone. Of course, FaceTime and all that kind of crap. I get that. But it's amazing what this app, WhatsApp, being basically free or very, very cheap, has grown to have many users.
It's free since it's free basically. Isn't it owned by Facebook?
Yeah, it is now.
So yeah, it's a free app that you are the product, but that's a story for another day.
Well, at least at one time it was 99 cents a year, but
really?
The first year was free, and then after that it's 99 cents, if I recall right.
That was before my time caring about any of this then.
Yeah, I thought it was still that way, but either way, 99 cents a year, that's free, people. I mean, 99 cents a month is free. if basically.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. So that's updated and that's good. Yeah. Moving on to another somewhat mobile device, the Surface, which I think they're using the Surface Pro 3. The NFL have been using those for their coaches and staff and players and all that, on the sidelines. We know about this. It's a deal Microsoft had with it, the NFL for
a deal Microsoft did just so that you could watch newscasters call them iPads.
Yeah, it kind of, two things. It was really crappy for a little bit there when no one even knew what it was. They were calling it an iPad. They were, there are even pictures of like the Surface being propped up in the front view showed the Surface, but behind it was someone using an iPad. That sucks. But
yeah.
the fact of the matter is that this is first of all, someone was going to go from paper or a laptop to a tablet when it came to this type of thing. All right, whether it was on the field with NFL or if it was the newscasters commenting on it, whatever, it was bound to happen anyway. And so it's good that Microsoft was able to be part of that, and that's fine. They got their foot in the door with it first. That's a good thing. But also, even if it's negative publicity, it's still publicity. And it's tough for me to say that because it's a little bit painful hearing, things they were saying about it. But fact of the matter is, technology fails. And especially when it comes to, what happened is that Bill Belichick, he's the New England Patriots coach, kind of an old fogey and actually kind of known for not being real good with technology, finally just gave up on it and said, I'm not using that anymore. I'm going back to paper. Well, it's not like he was writing everything down, taking notes himself. They have these high-resolution, fast cameras that print out pictures and things of the plays in real time as soon as it happens, and then they go print it off right out of the field, and then they hand it to him, and then he sees that. That in itself is, not that it's especially high-tech, but it's still technology doing something for him and him just looking at it. And so he just went from it to a different technology.
Yeah, a bit of an older one.
That in itself can fail. And as the NFL actually pointed out, and Microsoft backed this up, that it was primarily the stadium's tech team that has been failing, the Wi-Fi itself having issues or whatever. And of course, it's not like the Surface devices were always perfect, but this could happen to anything. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a case where one angry individual decided to be an angry individual over something that could be prevented by someone who was a more skilled individual. And then, of course, you always blame the device because you don't want to blame the people, because if you blame the people, that means that a person failed and you might know that person. So, of course, you go for a scapegoat. It's as easy as that, I think.
It is also probably the most well-known coach. I don't really follow football very much anymore, but I know who Bill Belichick is.
I don't follow it at all, so I have no idea who he is or his importance, admittedly.
I don't know, as a good decade or two probably almost 2 decades as a coach. New England Patriots, obviously one of the best, the most winningest teams in the NFL this
Winningest
century.
is my new favorite word.
I think it is actually a word, but when it comes to sports, you can only use it in reference to sports. But this century, they're probably the best team. I should just shut up. I don't follow sports enough.
Okay. Can we talk about Channel 9 instead? Because I actually know about that.
Let's do that. That's much better.
All right. So Channel 9 is Microsoft's, a part of MSDN. It covers video tutorials, events, etc. Like, for example, if you wanted to go back and see videos on anything from how to get started with C++ or see a keynote from Build, you would go to Channel 9. And Channel 9's design has been pretty old.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of when the current design was put in, but it feels Vista era.
Maybe
not Vista,
maybe
Windows 7.
About the time I was using a stencil. Maybe not that long.
I don't think it was Windows 8 era, as it's far too many gradient. But its design is dated, to put it simply. And so now Channel 9's moving over towards a more modern design. It's much flatter. It adjusts to displays easily. And it's also getting a Windows 10 app, as previously it did have a Windows 8 one, but that's a Windows 8 app, and I don't think anyone wants to use those on a mouse and keyboard. I mean, that's kind of why the entire Windows 8 debacle began, but that's a story for another day. Anyways, though, it's getting something that I've asked for since Windows 10 began.
Mm-hmm.
While you can't use the UWP app yet, you can actually use the more modern design, which is incredibly nice looking and fun to play around with. It's familiar, but it looks good. And to get that, you just go preview.channel9.msdn.com. It's a lot of dots, but it's worth it. And it feels not quite what you would expect from other Microsoft sites. They've taken some liberties with it, and I think it's for the better, as it has its own identity. You'll still see Sego UI everywhere. You'll still see some Windows 10 elements, but it's very different from Microsoft's other sites. It doesn't look like the main MSDN site. It doesn't look like the main Microsoft blog, and that's okay, I think. It's good to see what people can do with web development and see how it can be done when the goal is basically, okay, make it look kind of fresh, but keep it kind of familiar.
It's really interesting how for years we had that problem with cars. People wanted to buy a new Mustang and get that feeling of when they had an old one, the nostalgic look, but the modern feel and like whatever. And same thing with phones now. People don't want to stray too far. Apple is a great example of sticking with the same thing almost to their detriment, but still not wanting to give up on a winning design. And
unless they can sell you it back with an adapter for an extra $20.
Yeah. But it's funny how these digital mediums are the same way. Branding. I mean, you don't want to change up your logo too often, for example, but also even just the feel of a website, which many people frequent. Like, you don't want to just show up one day and it just be completely different. And so that's really interesting to see how they have to transition. They want it still to feel like Channel 9, but feel like a newer version of it. I think that's very, very interesting, and it'd be awesome to have a UI or branding expert on the show sometime to talk about that.
Yeah, someone who has much more interest, or not much more, rather much more knowledge about it than I. It would be fun to talk about it with them.
Yeah.
And the new design isn't totally finished yet, because it is a preview very much, but it is a good-looking preview. You can check it out. Again, preview.channel9.msdn.com, and have a good time with it, because I certainly am looking around. All right.
Nice.
So, next thing to touch on is something that should be interesting here. I think this is all Vernon.
Yeah, well, for the last, I don't know, year, maybe 2 years now, I don't keep track of these things well enough. But you could sign into Skype with your Microsoft ID. Obviously, you had to merge them initially, but Microsoft owns Skype, naturally, and you could sign in that way. And now they're shifting things the opposite way to where you can sign into your Microsoft accounts with your Skype ID. And so one reason you would want to do this is that you may not necessarily even have a Microsoft account. Now, people listening to this podcast most likely do. But say your, family members or something may have a Skype account, but they use Gmail. Well, if you roll that Skype account into a Microsoft account, you get access to, OneDrive and all the benefits to that. You have better security and things like that. You get an email address with it, whatever. And then you could log in, quite literally just log in with your Skype ID into your Windows PC or whatever. And that's just interesting that they're doing that, just merging things across, and that's fine, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a nice little touch to make it so that the ecosystems are a little more consistent. Because, some people, I'm assuming that the entire reason that they haven't just merged every single Skype account with every single Microsoft account yet is something to do with some sort of legacy thing that they don't want to touch and face potential backlash for, or they don't want to screw something up, something along those lines. But this is just a nice little touch to make the ecosystem more of that one Microsoft ecosystem that we're growing so used to and starting to love. Or continuing to love in some people's cases.
Yeah.
Where you've got all these things tied together. You have your Xbox, you have your Skype, you have your email, you have, especially, email, you have your Outlook, which is getting a premium upgrade. Yeah. I'm wiggling my eyebrows here, Vernon. You can't see it, but I'm wiggling my eyebrows. This is your turn, man.
Yep, you got it. I'm just waiting. So Outlook on the web, outlook.com, is not something I use that much. I use the apps, the programs for it. But many people use the web, and that's fine. You can get Outlook Premium, which of course is ad-free, which is fine. But that also includes some other things like custom domains, or not domains themselves, but like custom email addresses and things like that, which I don't know the specifics of that yet. Have not had a chance to play around with it, but it's coming. I think the preview is free, and then like the first year is going to be like $20 or $30, and then after that it's going to go to $50. Maybe it's worth it, maybe not, but still, if you use this on the web, which many people do, and it's only getting better, maybe it's worth it to get rid of those ads. And in many cases, it is worth it. If you're using an app for anything, it's usually worth it to pay to get rid of the ads, and pay once and be rid of them. And that's right. It's only available with the new Outlook.com. The old Outlook mail on the web is not available for that. Just the Outlook.com.
Hopefully, very, very soon, we won't have to worry about who has new or old Outlook.com.
Oy vey, or something.
Yeah.
This is I don't have it yet.
Oh man.
All right.
I've had the new design for a while, and it's got some nice features, also some not so nice bugs, but I guess we can talk about that another day. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll finish up with your Xbox stuff because I am excited to talk about what we might be seeing tomorrow or next week.
Okay. Well, it's for Xbox stuff. Aside from the financial stuff we talked about earlier, Microsoft is highlighting some of that with their latest commercial, which is a little weird as the commercial's name is literally Xbox One, the best-selling console in America, and yet at no point in the advertisement do they mention it is the best-selling console in America. It's something.
Oh, okay.
But either way, it's a nice advertisement refresh from what we've been seeing over the past few weeks, where they've had just the same advertisement recut a few times as they do. This one's totally new, looks good, shows off new games like Battlefield 1, Gears of War 4, Forza Horizon 3, etc., and it looks good. Speaking of things that are also new, Red Dead Redemption 2 has been announced, and it's the sequel to the critically acclaimed cowboy shoot-'em-up bang-bang game from a few years back, which I still need to get around to. I would be singing its praises more if I actually played it. I know that it came to Xbox One backwards compatibility a few months ago. In fact, we even talked about that on here, and I think I might have made a similar line, but it's a game that has gotten critical acclaim. I need to give it a shot. It works even better on the Xbox One than the Xbox 360, so I've been told I really need to give it a go, so I should probably tell you to give it a go too. But a sequel's here, a teaser trailer's here, and alas, that trailer doesn't show off too much. It's simply a minute that shows off mostly landscape, and does show that the game looks pretty beautiful. Which, it does make me wonder if, say, they're building this for, say, either Scorpio or PS4 Pro specs first to show off in the trailer.
Wouldn't it be cool if they were building this for HoloLens? Anyway, yeah,
you'd need VR, not AR, for that.
Yeah. Anyway, one thing I want to add to this, because this is very interesting on Twitter. It used to be like we do an announcement when this game is out, yay, or even a few weeks ahead of time. Okay, we know when to line up outside Best Buy to get this game, and then it was to the point where, oh wow, look at the trailers, these, we're teasing these games, and it looks really awesome. We got to the point now where they announced this, and then they announced that in a few days, they gave the date and the time of when the trailer was coming out, which was a good half of a year before the game comes out.
Not even half a year, man. It is a year.
Oh.
It comes out fall 2017.
Oh my goodness. So talk about the hype machine. I mean,
I think it was perfectly scheduled to dominate news headlines for a few days, if you ask me. But it seems a little weird.
It obviously did dominate some headlines.
One day they had a thing where they posted a teaser image, then they posted another teaser image the next day, then the day after that they announced that in 2 days they're going to have a trailer, then they have a trailer, and the news just keeps churning.
Wow. I mean, there's probably more Red Dead Redemption 2 publicity than there was for some of the presidential candidates lately. I mean,
listen, just to say that, knowing these candidates, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, just wow.
Anyways, moving on to something that I can be positive about for sure. And the last bit of Xbox news before we can quickly wrap it up with talk about the Surface event next week. The Orange Box is a compilation of titles by Valve Software, the same company that made Steam, and it got ported to the Xbox 360 back in the day. That's coming to the Xbox One through backward compatibility now, and it contains 5 games in one, basically, and they're all considered hits. You have Half-Life 2 and both of its episodic expansions, Team Fortress 2, and Portal. And it's it's 5 fantastic games on your Xbox One. It's $20, though I'm certain you might be able to find a physical copy used for far less than that. Go for it. Seriously, go for it. Or just buy them on Steam, for one.
Nice.
Now it's Surface time.
Yeah, so Wednesday, November, let's see, what month is this? October
26th. I know this because it's my brother's birthday.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Wednesday, October 26th. I think it's, I should have looked this up. It's in the mid-morning in the U.S., okay? Well, there's going to be a live stream of this event. We'll be covering it at the site, obviously. I'm going to actually put up a blog post just sharing where the stream is and what time it is and that kind of stuff. And this is going to be, it's been teased a little bit. It's mostly been teased by bloggers and Microsoft followers who have been hearing the rumors of what this could be. Microsoft announced it as a Surface device event and devices event, and it will, so it's going to be that. We don't know which devices, but what has been rumored is would be a 2-in-1 or multiple. We think it'd be at least two 2-in-1 Surface devices. PCs, one form or another, most likely 2 different display sizes. And there's some debate whether this is like the thing that sits in your kitchen for the whole family to play with. But I think that's been done, and Microsoft isn't going to do that. I think this is either going to be a enterprise workstation, or it's going to be a creative, something that's going to compete with the iMac, basically. And I think that's very, very reasonable because, the Surface RT competed with the iPad. Okay, the Surface Pro easily competed and easily competed and whooped the iPad itself, just blew it out of the water. And it didn't even compare itself to that. It compared itself to the MacBook Air. The Surface Book compared easily, and I believe is beating the MacBook Pro. And why not continue through with that and have this iMac type device or iMac competing device that is either going to work in some studio, like I said, a creative's computing device, or this,
a home studio PC is what I kind of think of it as.
Yeah.
A home productivity device, home studio, whatever you'd want to call it. Something for like a solo artist, maybe. Something along those lines is what I'm thinking of, because you have the potential for stuff like pen work, touch work, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of avenues it can go down, either in a Mac competition way or not. So I'm excited to see how that turns out.
So imagine this. You have a 16:9 or 4:3 display, something like that. But what if you just tilted it? What if it shifted? I haven't seen this rumor, okay? What if you turned it 90 degrees and you leaned it back a little bit and you have an easel? You have this like artist painting easel that you could just work on. It's a large display. You could mess with it that way. Or if you have, little legs that pop out, you could take it off of its stand on the desk and set it down and use it like as a coffee table in a way. And just like the old Surface, from 10 years ago, where you would lay your device on there and the information would share, it would, spread out. Who knows if that's going to be the thing or not. But
I just want to interject here and say that I would find it hilarious if they did announce a new edition of the original Surface table, which they tried to do everything they could to wipe that off the map. But I don't want to say I would laugh, but I would laugh. Just because that if you try to find any information in that Surface table, you're going to get a renamed Wikipedia article, and that's it.
I would gleefully laugh, because I think we will get to the point. Tabletop gaming is coming back, okay? And it's really tough to say why that is, but people smarter than me are saying that. And so why does it have to be a physical game? There's something tactile about that. That's kind of cool. Cards or dice or little, figurines or whatever is kind of cool. Plus, you dig deeper into it, and I don't know, the other higher end games, but I don't know why we wouldn't have a game table that why couldn't you do that? And you could even combine it with a combination of physical, placeholders or whatever.
There's a lot of potential for it with stuff like NFCs, which is something that you'll see something like Nintendo's actually been doing that. Skylanders has been doing that, where you have little figures, you can put them into the game. And I get what you're talking about, and it's kind of interesting, though. I think that once we get to smart tables, we're going to get something that has applications first. We're going to see something that displays the evening news for us right on the table, or something like that. And gaming stuff is going to come far, far later, because I don't think there's much computing power you can squeeze into a flat surface that is likely going to try for a glass aesthetic.
Well, I'm not trying to predict that we're going to have a Surface table come back this round, okay? But I don't think it's
just
that.
listing off possibilities. I know.
Yeah, but I think that's very, very possible within the next couple rounds here, okay? The next 3-4 years, whatever. But when it comes to,
I think that maybe we should just speak about what we do know and let them know, because while you're Vernon, I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Andy. Yeah.
No, don't worry.
It's getting late. I'm tired too. I'm just kind of excited about this device, about this event. Are
you going there to cover it, or is it going to be
I will not be there to cover it unless some plans change last minute, which would be awesome, but that may not happen. But everyone will be able to watch the live stream, and of course, MSPoweruser.com will have all the latest on it. It's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Last little rumor on this is that maybe there will be a virtual assistant device, something like the Amazon Echo.
I've heard about that rumor. Microsoft Home Hub.
That would be very cool, and there is something like that leaked, or strongly rumored, but leaked. We just don't know when it's coming out, so we'll see.
Yep. And so maybe it's my turn to do the outro this time. You've done it for 17 episodes, so
go for it.
Thanks for listening to the MSPoweruser Podcast. I think that's a good note to end on.
That'll work.
Check us next week for the Surface News, because that'll be fun, and I will not be asleep. Thanks for listening to the MSPoweruser Podcast. You can follow the site on Twitter at MSPoweruser, and by doing so, you can find out when each new episode's available, as well as all the cool articles we produce throughout the week. And when a new episode's available, if you're subscribed to it on your phone, you will get a notification. So you can do that. We are currently available in iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, anything that's able to pull up episodes through an RSS feed, you can get. So be sure to check out mspoweruser.com/podcast to find subscription links for your devices if you haven't done so already. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow me at FusionFan45 to see me doing things like making lame jokes, or you can follow Vernon at Vernon EL if you want to see good tech jokes for comparison.
Not much good of anything lately. Been pretty busy, but I do exist on Twitter. Yes,
quality over quantity in his case.
Sure, thanks.
Have a great week, everybody.
Take care.